Welcome back to the Wheatfield. I'm so excited you are here, joining me on my couch with my workout clothes that I haven't changed, with my toboggan on or beanie or sock cap, whatever you call these things. A little casual this week, so welcome. We had a review last week. I just thought it would be a good time. I'm going to take my 17 rubber bands that I carry at all times off my arms. I thought it would be a good time for us to get back up to speed on everything that we've learned up until now. So to speed date you, my friend KB uses that term all the time. To speed date you, we talked about a waiting season where we learn to listen and wait on God to give us the go-ahead. We talked about the plowing season where we get rid of our weeds, where we are able to create a really incredible ground that gives way to roots from the seeds we're about to sow. We talked about sowing seeds of faith instead of seeds of doubt. And we're going to jump into the harvest season, which I think is so much fun to talk about in November when harvest is everywhere. Speaking of my son, I promised him, he made this today, and I was like, how cool. It's probably backwards when you look at it, but it says harvest and it's a scarecrow. I go, oh my goodness, I'm talking on the harvest season this week. So he asked that I would show that to you all. So I am. But before we jump into the harvest season, I have to talk about one thing. Did you know that there is another waiting season? There's a lot of waiting in the world, and we act like that's a bad thing. You have to wait again once you sow seeds. And I didn't want to dedicate a whole message into that, even though I could have, but we've learned the benefits of waiting on God and His timing. It's the same with growing and sowing. You have to wait. Once you've sowed those seeds of faith, we have to wait on God to water them, because you're not in charge of the rain. Do you remember that from the first couple weeks? Here's a verse out of Isaiah that we can be reminded of. Isaiah 30:23. He will also send you rain for the seed that you sow in the ground, and the food that comes from the land will be rich and plentiful. So there's this little waiting season before we jump into harvest. One more thing I want to make note of. We have to wait on the growth of those seeds, right? Like, they don't just pop up overnight and there's your harvest. Like, there's this whole new waiting season. Here's another verse. I love how many metaphors are in the Bible about planting and growing, and how that correlates to our hearts as Christian and our work as working on behalf of the Lord. Here's the verse I'm talking about that I really like. 1 Corinthians 3:6-7. I planted the seed, Apollos watered it, but God has been making it grow. God has been making it grow. So neither the one who plants nor the one who waters is anything, but only God who makes things grow. Side note, just last week, my dear friend, hi Mivy, had to remind me that we are not in charge or responsible for anyone else in their walk with the Lord. I'm responsible for the seeds that I sow into them, around them. I'm not responsible for them. I'm just responsible for the seeds that I sow. That's my job. It is God's job to bring them redemption and restoration and all the things that he is capable of doing. I'm just capable of planting those seeds and pointing them to Jesus. So I needed to hear that, and I teach a Bible study on this stuff. So maybe you needed to be reminded of that too. You are responsible for sowing seeds into people. Okay, so I think we get it. Even after we do all the waiting and the plowing and the sowing, there is more waiting. But eventually, Lord willing, the wheat is ripened and can be harvested. So here we are in harvest season. And I love that I'm kicking off harvest season in November, right at the beginning, when there is just so much harvest out there right now. Harvest, it's everywhere, right? Words and wheat. And it's just so awesome to me that this is a month where we're talking about harvesting, but we're also constantly talking about gratitude and thankfulness in the month of November. And I just don't think that that is coincidence. Harvest, the time when all your blessings of abundance show up, goes hand in hand with gratitude and being thankful. And you know how I know that? Because you have to listen to this little incredible nugget that I'm about to tell you, because this is the whole reason after I had the vision and was praying about starting a women's Bible study about wheat. This was the very first thing I learned that opened my eyes to go, I have to teach this. This is incredible. So while I was in this prayer mode about this and so inspired by wheat and seeing it everywhere 2 years ago, one night I could not sleep. So I got up and I got my computer and I just started researching wheat. And this is what I came across, and it blew my mind, and I'm pretty sure it's going to blow yours too, because how could it not? So picture this. A farmer has done all that work. The wheat is growing, right? And how does he know when it's time to go pick the wheat? Like, what makes it different today than tomorrow? Like, there's got to be something that makes him be like, you know what? Today's the best day to go pick that wheat. It's just ripe enough. It's not overly ripe. It's not underripe. Today is the day. Let me tell you how that farmer knows. The valuable part of the grain grows so heavy, like it's grown as much as it can grow, that the wheat starts to bow. That's the term used to show a farmer that his wheat is ripened. The wheat bows. Is that not crazy? Like, that's literally the term. What a good reminder to that farmer to look out after everything that's going on. He sees that his harvest is ready for him to bow his head in thankfulness and gratitude to God who got his abundance to where it was. What a great reminder to us that when our harvest comes, once again, whatever that looks like to you in this season, no matter how big or small, something bigger than you got you to your harvest. And it is important for us to bow our heads in thankfulness and gratitude because of that. There is abundance somewhere in your life right now that you can be thankful for. And if you're having a hard time finding it right now, let me tell you a few things you can be thankful for. You know what? You woke up this morning because you're watching this. So you had breath in your lungs and God gave you another day to watch this, and you have ears that are working so that you can hear it. And I'm not like trying to minimize the fact that we live in a really crazy world right now, and there's this pandemic situation. And by the time you're watching this, like, it's been election day, you know, TBD, what's going to happen there? There's heaviness and darkness at every turn. There is always abundance that we can bow our heads and be thankful for. At the bare minimum, you have 2 people in your life that love you and are thankful for you. I mean that. At least you have me and you have God. So if you feel like you have no one, there's 2 of us. Don't believe any other lie. Gratitude and thanksgiving change everything. Philippians 4:6-7 is a verse. I'm sure you've heard it. I've heard it forever, but I have a new take on it really fast. Do not be anxious about anything, but in every situation, by prayer and petition with thanksgiving, present your requests to God. And the peace of God, which transcends all understanding, will guard your hearts and your minds in Christ Jesus. When I read that verse, you know what I think? I think it says that a spirit of thanksgiving changes anxiety into peace. And not just any peace, but like a peace that transcends all understanding. I know I want that for my life. I don't want the anxiety. I want the peace, and thanksgiving will get me there. So this week, let's bow more and let our requests be made known to God with thanksgiving and less anxiety and complaining, and we will find peace in this harvest season. All right, I'll see you next week. Don't miss the wheat and find that peace.